And certainly for our team, by far the best thing about being a part of the national team was sharing that experience. Although one of the most common questions we would be asked was, how do you guys deal with the pressure or the expectations? And I suppose in this country, typically, many of you like to see the hockey teams win a gold medal. So I suppose there are some expectations. But for us, instead of feeling as though there was a huge burden on our shoulders and a pressure that was weighing us down, we understood that in every single situation, we had a choice on how we saw that situation. So for us, instead of a burden that was weighing us down, we decided to turn that around and say, well, you know what, it's pretty nice that people in this country want to see us do well, that they care about our performance. So again, that was just a shift in our perspective. And for us, instead of feeling like we have to win a gold medal, it was saying, you know what, we want to win a gold medal. And we feel as though the support from the country is behind us. And we also understood it was always about setting new standards for ourselves. There was one day I was 15 years old, and I sat down and I had lunch with my dad one day. My dad asked me, he says, Jennifer, he said, what is your ultimate dream? And I thought it was a pretty intense question. At that point, I was a 15-year-old athlete. I'd ordered a chicken sandwich I was pretty excited about. And my dad asked me, he says, Jen, what's your ultimate dream? But I paused and I thought, and I had been that kid that watched the Olympics on television. Do some of you watch some of the Olympic coverage, see the events? So growing up, I had watched the Olympics on television. And I remember I'd started playing hockey when I was 13 years old. I've been skating since I was young, but when I was 13, that's when I started playing organized hockey. And my parents said they knew it was something pretty special because they said every time I hit the ice to play, they said they could see my smile through the cage. So I was just loving it. And it was remembering that joy in every single situation. So a couple of years later, I was 15, having this lunch with my dad, and I stopped and I thought, and I said, okay, Dad, I said, my ultimate dream is to go to the Olympics. I said, I would love. How's this? Okay, good. So I told him that day at lunch that I would love to play hockey for Canada at the Olympics. And I said, you know what, I would love to be there. I said, but I don't know if it's possible, is what I said that day. And I remember he looked at me across the table at the lunch, and he said, why not you? He said, if someone else can be there playing hockey for Team Canada at the Olympics, then why can't it be you? And at first, I smiled, and I thought, oh, that's sweet, but he clearly has no idea, is what I thought. He might have the worst case of daddy's little girl syndrome that had ever existed, but I do remember him repeating it and saying, why not you? And I was not convinced by the time that I left that lunch with my dad, but I started to think that maybe there was even just this small possibility that I could make that team. And I thought back to one of my high school teachers, and we had a theme for the year, and our theme was to never have to say I wish I would have, right? So if you think about that, the whole idea of having no regrets. So I decided, even if I'm a long shot, I don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done something to try to make that team. So I wanted to think about how I wanted to feel at the end, and that started to shape my behaviors and my actions every single day. So I decided to work on my training, my fitness, and my nutrition, and there were thousands of athletes that were vying for these spots on the Olympic team. Hockey Canada came out, they announced 28 girls would be selected to be part of a training group for the Olympics. From that training group, 20 would make the final roster. So I was busy working, training, fitness, went to an evaluation camp, and Hockey Canada came out and they made a second announcement. They said, it turns out 20 of those 28 spots are already taken.